Okay, so here's another dirty entrapment trick. So I just been done dirty by the Urbandale Police Department over by Des Moines. I came back to Omaha, staying with my sister. They were using my sister Vanessa at the time, and I was like, I got a hold of my cousin that lives up by like Logan, Iowa, or somewhere like that. Imogene, something, not Imogene, Logan, I think. And I'm like, hey, dude, I need to blow off some steam. Let's drink a couple beers, right? So I go up there. It didn't take long for me to figure out that he was in on the entrapment. Like, my family's kind of got like a ring, like of like drugs and stuff. So like they all work together. They got one of them got pinched and used the other ones. It was just a freaking mess, right? I've always said there's 7.8 billion people in this world. I got 7.8 brothers and sisters. Through. I've had thicker ties with people through water than I have ever blood. Like, that's the truth. You should look at life that way too. Family's just kind of a coincidence, right? We're all blessed to be humans. Anyways, so it doesn't take me long to catch on that he's like recording everything I say and going to the bathroom and sending it, whatever, trying to do a bunch of like mischievous shit. Well, he's like, let's go drink beers with a friend, right? So we go down about a block or two and we go into this garage, right? And there's this guy there and it's his buddy, right? Well, my cousin's name's Joe, and this dude keeps calling him Mark throughout the night. So I'm like, they don't even know each other. This other dude's getting in on it, and inadvertently we started having conversations about what was going on, and I who he was, and he knew who I was, and like, he even said, like, what's wrong with self-preservation? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, nothing, as long as you're not ruining a man's life and his family over it. There's nothing wrong with self-preservation. But if it comes to jeopardizing a good man and a good family, there's absolutely something wrong with it, right? And he just started chuckling, whatever. I assumed he was an officer. He implied that he was a Fed, whatever. He had some pot on him. Kept trying to, he was like, here, take this for the road. I wasn't smoking. I was like, why are you trying to set me up with this? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, dude, I don't need any. If I'm not smoking now, I don't need any for the road. I'm like, well, it's your pot. Why don't you smoke? Come on, buddy. And he's getting, drinking some beers and stuff. And he's talking to a recorder because this is being recorded, mind you. And he's like, shit, guys, I haven't done this in years. So I'm thinking, if you haven't done it in years, why do you have it on you? Why are you trying to get me to leave the place with it? It's obvious entrapment. He goes on and gets all goofy and stuff. And, like, even at one point, he reached back to the recorder or whatever. Like, he implied where it was. I could tell by his body language and stuff. And he's like, shit, guys, I think we're setting up a good guy. And I'm like, well, obviously. That's why I've asked people to have a cup of coffee and sit down with me from the beginning of this and figure it out. It only took him a few beers to figure out we're setting up a good guy. His exact words, shit, guys, I think we're setting up a good guy. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, you mindless asshole, whatever. So, like, my cousin goes to get more beers and stuff like that. And he's like, all right. He's like, I'll see you in a minute, Joe. And I looked at him and I said, you mean Mark? Because he'd been calling him Mark all night. Like, he had no clue who he was and stuff. And then he implied that my cousin was setting me up. Like, he was like, he's not a good guy. And he was like, trust who you can, right? Well, this guy got all smashed and mashed, He obviously hadn't smoked because after he smoked and drank some beers, like, he got all goofy. And I was working on the ladder all the time, doing, like, gutters and exteriors and stuff. And he's like, he got all, like, angry towards the end. He's like, accidents happen on ladders. And I believe his last words to me were, why don't you just go fucking hang yourself? And I just stood up, shook his hand. I said, hey, man, it was nice meeting you. Put my hand on his shoulder. I was like, take care, And he was like, ugh, looked over his recorder. But that was another time of entrapment. Like, I got his truck description, the address, the license plate if you want it. But, yeah, that was another very malicious time. So I stayed at my cousin's house that night. I got up, I left before I seen him. That was the last time I'll see him in my life, man. This shit's torn my family apart. And, like, loyalty and respect to me is everything. So you disrespect, you're not loyal to me. You burn that bridge, don't expect me to cross no river to get to you. Absolutely not, man. But that's just an example of the entrapment and how it's ripped my family apart and stuff like that. Just another story for you. These are just a bunch of little random ones, but I guarantee you, day after day, this happening for a year, I have stories that go on for, like, there's times I lay down in bed and I'm like, oh my God, like, realizing what's happened throughout that day, Like, these people have been relentless. And all I asked was for simple compromise. Hey, man, get me and my family back on our feet. Like, you can say, oh, he don't want to get on his feet. He's looking for a hand. No. Every time I try to get on my feet, you get into my job. You get into my home. Like, there's no rest until this is taken care of. Absolutely none. So why wouldn't you just simply take care of it, But But yeah, it's been a wild ride. So like in the end, like you got to know, like that dude was telling me to kill myself. They've implied it nonstop. Like this is all they're freaking doing in the end, man. This was their desired outcome. It's just I'm leaving you guys with a little bit of truth. Love ya.